What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. In today's video, we will be doing a account takeover slash review for Pac Man here. He reached out to me and he's looking for some help in some key areas for his account. So we're going to dive into that. If you guys are interested in these type of takeovers, I do one free takeover per month, or at least I commit to doing that at least. It's going to be through a application channel on my Discord. My Discord is in my description below, so if you guys are interested, make sure you guys hop on by. It's also a pretty cool community for new and veteran players alike, so make sure you guys drop on by regardless. We do monthly giveaways and all that stuff on my Discord. And if you guys are looking for dedicated support, feel free to DM me. I do charge a per hour basis, so we can talk about that in our DMs. But for this account, we're talking about Pac Man, level 100, 12.31 player power. He's been in the game for about 3 years now, so he's well past physics and all that stuff. You can kind of check by basically doing by checking somebody's sorry, their what was it? Challenges? They had some badges here. Yeah, there we go. Class of 2021. So he's been playing for at least 3 years. He said he's been inactive for the last half year or so, but he's trying to get back in the game and just looking for a lot of improvements in a lot of areas. So we're going to try to cover as much as we can in this video. So let's take a quick look at his stocks here. Not too crazy, but I mean, if he saved up maybe for a week, he could handle any fusion. But I mean, the mystery shards alone could handle any champion chase, so you can definitely use that. It's a real resource that you can use. For his fragments, he has none, basically none. He's 73 into mold. Yeah, so not too much resources, but still okay for a fusion. I mean, I would say he's probably a late game player, given that he has, for example, he's level 100, he has decent amount of play power, he can accumulate shards, he has so many resources built up, he's been playing a game for a while. Let's check out his books. Lots of books here, epics books, legendary books, and enough mythical books, but obviously not enough to fully book out one mythical, but good amount of books either way. Chickens, it's fine. Chickens not too crazy. Brews, that's a lot of resources here you can use to basically beat, complete champion training events. Just use those brews, save the energy, complete the champion training. While we're talking about energy and stuff, I see 8,000 capped here. 8,000 cap could mean that he's been collecting dailies for a while, or he's just buying packs. 6,000 gems here, 100 million silver. 100 million is generally pretty healthy. Can't really complain about 100 million silver. Gonna pick up some mystery shards for you there. Not like you need it, but so 6,000 gems also pretty healthy. So let's see what we're working with here in terms of his champion box. So let's check out his box here. What we got here? So Gizmat the Terrible. Build looks pretty good, to be honest. Build looks pretty good. Let me double check. Does he require accuracy to place his stuff? I feel like he doesn't need accuracy. His passive, right? Started to play, cannot be resisted. Yeah. If this champion's crit rate is 100 or higher. Okay, so he doesn't need accuracy. So honestly, his build looks pretty good. It's in Swift Parry. I don't know if that's meta or anything, but the stats look good. Quick, got crit damage. Mastery, he's got a Helm Smasher on. Sure, looks good. Only one mythical for him, or at least one leveled up mythical. Blood Gorge here. Also crit capped. Drexar. Bit of an old build here. Still the Drakes in regeneration. But yeah, clearly looking at some of the builds here, he is more an later game player. Definitely out of the earlier mid-game stage. Let me see here. Yeah, you can kind of see where his stuff is. He's got 270 speed, relentless gear with 550 accuracy. Mad Hatter, so looks pretty good. He's gonna get Molten Death Bell. Okay, neat. Soul Reap, War Master. I don't know about Soul Reap for Mad Hatter. Maybe he has a specific reason, but Mad Hatter doesn't do any damage. So I probably wouldn't go for Soul Reap. Thrala. Got the shield. Emergency heal, shield blessing. Okay, it's got War Master on. Interesting build. Not sure what you use it for. Yeah, not sure what you use this for. I would say this is a not super strong build or anything like that. I don't think it's not good enough to solo. Not good enough to solo, but you have emergency heal. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Not too sure here. Arbiter, what's her top speed? Top speed is 361. I mean, I'm sure we'll run the optimizer on his account and see what his gear looks like in terms of his true speed. But right now we're just having a like a quick overview of what's going on here. Ronda's a little bit too slow. He loves swift parry gear. He loves his swift parry gear. A lot of swift parry. Don't see a lot of lethal. Don't see a lot of savage. Trunda, here we go. Savage gear. 2% off crit capped. I don't know if that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of scary. Not really the best in terms of, yeah, not really the best. I mean, you need to have the crit cap, right? You have the crit cap her. Okay, got the cat's gaze. Good for you. Cat's gaze. No gems, so can't really finish her off there. 3-star Reaper. Okay, sure. Yeah, it really depends where you're gonna use her. I mean, you're gonna use her in Hydra and all that stuff. Then you're gonna get rid. If you're gonna use her in Hydra and stuff, you're not gonna use Soul Reap, right? You're gonna use Nature's Wrath. Let's see what else. Plus for Ugo, just accuracy. Mishinaki, just accuracy. You really want like ignore defense sets on these guys so that they can do more damage. Like for example, for Hydra, Molly and Reflex, too slow to be used. Grazur looks usable. Not crit cap though. He can do damage, right? You should probably crit cap him. The Queen, she's fast, decent accuracy, decent build. I would say this account is probably mid late game. Some of these builds are not super great, and I see a lack of some of the end game sets. Like for example, you're lacking like we're not even talking like savage gear getting replaced by lethal gear, getting replaced by merciless gear. Like you're not even on savage gear yet, right? So that just means total lack of farming, to be honest. Yeah, you need to like if you have damage dealers, like you have tons of damage dealers, but you don't have ignore defense sets, like lethal set, savage sets. Like yeah, it's about time you you gotta do some farming here. Krisk here as well. Looks like resistance accuracy build. Usually you want this in curse set. You want Chris in a curse set. But this build seems okay. Yeah, I would say this account is somewhere between probably late game, just given like the builds and some of these guys, the knowledge. This guy knows what he's doing, but the gear is definitely not here, right? Like, there's the same story for everybody. A lot of the time, the gear is not there. Just quickly popping into the optimizer here, we got the top speed for the Arbiter at 380. So the Arbiter on his account is 361. On the optimizer, it's showing 380. We're taking pieces of gear from Eris and Grazur. I mean, yeah, unless you have really specific reasons why, then just add an extra 19 speed to your Arbiter by changing these two pieces. And obviously the banner here is going to come from Neldor. So 380 speed Arbiter, not too bad, guys. Just quickly running through his Trunda here. So I assume Trunda is going to be his best damage dealer for Hydra, for example. He might not be his best like arena damage dealer. I would say like Gizmat is pretty, probably the best, but different types of builds, right? But anyways, let's run Trunda for the best damage gear on his account, and then we found that he's getting about 12% boost, 6% boost, 12% boost. So just by changing the gear, let's check out what gear sets we're talking about here. So 267 crit damage, 8k attack. So this one, let's see, it's probably broken sets. It's going to be cruel set. 3 cruel sets. So 3 cruel sets on Trunda gives her the best damage output. Yeah, this account really struggling for basically ignore defense sets. So instinct set, savage set, lethal set, merciless set. You really, really need those to elevate your account. You can't be running off like triple cruel sets for your top DPS builds. It's just not going to be, not going to work out very well. Let's check out your inventory box. It seemed like Optimizer was running pretty quick. So meaning you don't have that much gear in your box. 1,000, which is not that much. Just gonna do a quick see how well your upkept is. I mean, these are all you know, instant sells most of the time, but since they are in the limited sets, I assume that you know of them. So I'm just gonna leave them there. Let's see what your gear box looks like in terms of 5-star gear. You have 200 5-star gear, so 20% of your total inventory is 5-star gear. Now, I'm not sure, like, yeah, I'm not sure how much of that 5-star gear you actually need, right? I feel like you can basically not use 5-star gear anymore, but 20% of your total box being 5-star gear is quite a bit. Let's check out your merciless stuff. I assume you have very little merciless stuff. You do have some, it's just not rolled up 5-star pieces here. Gloves, yeah, you do have some. You do have some. This, like this should be probably gone, right? Like curing set's just not anything. Uh, hmm. Yeah, okay, so merciless stuff. Okay, so I mean you're keeping stuff. You're keeping stuff that has chance to be okay. Right? Like this one has a chance to be okay. Oh, sorry. This one has a chance to be okay. Crit rate and speed. But yeah, we definitely have to work on, you know, some of this stuff. And this stuff is just gonna take time, right? This is Centranos. And yeah, some really meh pieces here. Quick look at the accessories here. Same kind of thing. 1,000 out of 1,500. To me, it just seems like not too much farming has happened. It's not that you've been super strict on cleansing out your box. It's just the acquisition of gear is very limited, I would say. So you have no merciless. For example, here you have no merciless accessories for dwarves. No merciless accessories for, you know, Shadowkin. You just have, yeah, it's really lacking. That's all. So you can kind of tell here. Same thing with the gear. A lot of the gear is not rolled up, which means that I don't believe that this account has been like thoroughly cleansed to the point where it's like at 1,000 pieces. It's actually has a surplus of capacity because of the lack of farming. So you actually do need to really farm, as at least get some of the better ignore defense sets for your damage dealers. Really low Magi Steel, which means Arena probably hasn't been handled too much. It's the weekend right now. Actually, no, it's the beginning of the week. So 22 seems okay. Arena, the Grey Hawk seems okay. 3-year-old account, of course. Really low Magi Steel. We did just come off personal rewards last week, so maybe that's why. Materials look okay. That's free silver. Okay. Bloodthirst. Yeah, I mean, he has stuff. That means he's been farming, right? Bolster set, that's good. I mean, I saw that he purchased the bolster forge pass, so he is a spender. I think he said he spent about 1,500 over 3 years. $1,500 over 3 years. I wouldn't say that's like crazy spending. That's like $500 a year, about $50 a month or $40 a month. So not crazy spender or anything. Just a normal casual spender. He did mention he's a he's PC and mobile player. So check out his faction wars. He does have Lydia, so everything here is done. So that's good. Check out his dungeons here, real quick. He's got a minute 30 Iron Twins. Minnow. He's got 28-second Minnow. He's probably not farming Minnow. Vent dungeon. He's stuck here at 26. 26. This is when it gets hard, right? This is when yeah, the Kaja's here. The Kaja's here, so it's super fast. Okay, so see what else he's got here. This is a really slow ice golem. Poison's not gonna work. So poisons don't work on hard ice golem, so no point bringing Dark Kale in here. Yeah, probably can work on that a little bit. Dungeon team for Dragon, got minute 38. I mean, I think that's kind of not right. Kale works here. Theodore works here too. Do you have a Seer? You need something to kill these waves. You do have a Seer, but you're not using your Seer. How does your seer look? She has Savage Gear. Not crit capped. Why? Why not crit capped? Why not crit cap, my friend? Or master. Yeah, that's fine, but why not crit cap? You can make a seer team, and then just bring KO and Mithrala for the dragon. Yeah, that would be super fast, I would say. Okay, and then let's see, Fire Knight here. Oh man, oh man. Yeah, I mean, this account's gonna take a lot of work just to get up to speed, right? Because basically you can redo every single one of these dungeon teams because some of them just don't make any sense. Like for example, this one where Dark KO doesn't make any sense. Like this one for Dragon, like why is Ray here, kind of thing. Like you know what I mean? Like, like Ray, like Swift Parry gear, like she shouldn't be here. Like the Queen, you don't need the Queen here. Just bring a seer. Make a seer and use the poisoners to kill a dragon at the end. Sand Devils, 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Seems a little bit slow. A little bit slow, but I mean he's doing it. That's fine. Total stats. I mean it seems okay. Fat Man is very fine. Usually a Fat Man should be like under 2 minutes, so 240 seems a little bit slow. But if it's working, then that's fine. Don't want to mess around with it too much. Shogun, we're stuck here. Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, so all these dungeon teams can definitely be reworked. Let's come back to it after we check out the rest of your account. All right, so one of the big problems with this account, he said, was Hydra. So we want to focus a little bit on the Hydra teams here and see what we can do in terms of getting him a couple teams ready to go. He does have Brutal open, but not Nightmare. So we're going to try to do Brutal, Hard, Normal team. I think it shouldn't be too much of a problem given that his roster is relatively deep. And his gear, I think, is relatively okay, minus the damage gear. Like he can hit accuracy and speed stats, but definitely not the damage dealers. Okay, so let's put together 3 teams here that I think can work, and I'll give some gear suggestions. Also, I don't recommend empowering your epics unless you have multiple copies of them, especially for usable epics like this. For example, the Chimera doesn't need to be +2. You could have 3 copies of Chimera, which gives you 3 options for the Head of Torment for your Hydra teams. This just feels like a mistake. I also saw something like this, +4 Ugo. This also feels like a mistake because Ugo covers your AoE block buffs and block and decreased defense. You could have had 3 Ugos here if you had no options. Now you only have 1 Ugo, and she definitely doesn't need to be +4. So if you guys are in this position, definitely don't just empower your epics like this, especially ones that you can make multiples of and have them be useful. So just a little bit of heads up for everybody. All right, so we're back. We spent some time off camera putting together some of these teams. So Pac Man actually has he has a relatively deep account. Definitely a little bit difficult to make 3 teams from scratch. But he's also missing some key components too. So we'll go over his teams here and what I put together for him. So first, it's going to be Normal, Hard, and Brutal. So these are the 3 teams we went with. He doesn't have a Nightmare capable clan yet. So, but honestly, I think his account might not be ready for Nightmare yet. It probably is in terms of champions, but just gearing wise, he's probably on the edge. But let's go over the 3 teams here I got for him first. So first, for Normal, definitely going to run the Trunda. He doesn't have an insane Trunda or anything like that, but he should still be able to do, at least 100, maybe 200 million, in my opinion, in normal difficulty. This team's going to be, none of these teams are going to be full auto if you're going to need, the best results. But you got Trunda here in the lead. You got Emic for the reset. He also brings Unkillable to protect your team. Lydia for decreased defense and weaken with speed up. You have turn meter boost, attack up with Seeker. Seeker also provides provoke. So if you need to lock down the Head of Decay and you're playing manual, you can do that. Now, for this account, it actually doesn't have too many ways to deal with the Head of Torment. He doesn't even have Veil champions. And of course, the Shemael, he ate +2 Shemaels here. So here for this account, we went with the Reviver. We went with Rector Draft for the Veil, just to help against the Head of Torment. Wukong is here mainly for block buffs only. His damage is going to be mostly irrelevant, so he's just here for block buffs. This team should run pretty well. I tried to minimize the amount of like key champions I need for the other teams. After that, we have the hard team here. The hard team, we're running Razovarg in the league with speed up and leech. He's going to be bringing damage, so you have to gear him out for damage. We got Mad Hatter here, very, very good fusion. Good thing you did him. He brings Hex and Weaken, which is really important because this account really struggles for Weaken champions as well. So Weaken, very good for Mad Hatter. He also brings the team, not team attack, but the ally attack, which is going to boost up your damage quite a bit. You have Grazur here. Grazur is very good. He's not booked out in this account, unfortunately, but when you book him out, he's going to be very good. He has an AoE A1, providing a little bit of a shield. He has healing. He has increased defense, increased resistance, and he has a really good passive as well. If you build him up to do damage, he can do damage for you as well. Very good champion. He also has provoke, which is really important because this team doesn't have any provokes. So you need him for the provokes. So it's very important to have him booked out. 75% provoke might be enough, but you know, for the future, you definitely want to book him out anyways. He's just a great champ. We have Uko here. Uko is going to bring the block buffs. Unfortunately, that's another category of debuffs that you don't have a lot of block buff champions. So Uko is going to be the one that runs it here. He also brings a revive here just in case your team runs out of gas. But you do run Grazur and Mithrala for team survivability, but you also run some squishy damage dealers here as well. Mithrala is here for the hex and the shield cleansing and the plus defense plus attack. This account also struggles with just gear in general. We don't have curse sets, we don't have provoke sets, we don't have 9-piece protection sets. So some of these teams can really improve with just some extra stuff like that. Like for example, team 1, the trended team really needs like a hex set, right? You need Mithrala in a hex set so she can apply hex so that Trunda can do more damage. And then this team is fine right now because we do have the hex from Mithrala. So that's kind of okay, but you could put a provoke set on Uko just to help your provoke chance a little bit, but not necessary, of course. After that, I went with Tumisia. This is kind of like a flex spot. Tumisia is just kind of here for damage. She brings the AoE HP burn. It can be applied through the poison cloud. So I'm kind of already anticipating that Uko doesn't fully land his block buffs all the time. So at least we have Tumisia here to land the HP burn, so you can still do damage through the poison cloud. Again, she has a bit of a squishy damage dealer, but you do have a reviver here. She also brings a conditional decreased speed. That's something that's missing on this team as well. You don't have a lot of great decreased speed champions that you can fit into this team. So I thought Tumisia brings the most out of those champions, even though her decreased speed is a little bit conditional. It is a hard difficulty team. You should be able to do some decent damage with this team, I think, if they're geared out. Lastly, the brutal team. This is the team that I focused the most on, and I want you to do the best on. So your best damage dealers are here. You got Mishinaki is going to be one of your best Hydra damage dealers. You have your best support champion here with Krisk. You have your only torment counter here with Chimera. And then you have your Ugo with AoE decreased defense and block buffs, very important. You also have Varl here, which is your best damage dealer with Weaken. Unfortunately, he's not 60 with masteries. This guy is very important, especially when you're starting out in Hydra, because he's hard to replace, but he brings Weaken and he deals lots of damage by himself. You have Podrick here with the cleanse, and then he brings team-wide buffs for everybody, keeping them all alive, plus healing as well. This team should do pretty good, considering that your Krisk is actually geared decently with resistance, decent speed, and good accuracy. But he needs to basically tank all the hits. You don't have a revive or anything like that. But I think this team should do pretty good. It covers most things. It just doesn't have a reviver, so you need to be a little bit careful with like full autos. Manuals, this should cover everything. Like I said, Torment. You have Provoke here with Krisk. You have a Cleanser here just in case. Decreased defense. Double decreased defense coverage is important just in case. And then you have the Weaken with 2 big damage dealers here. You do have a couple champions I left on the bench. For example, Mithrala is going to be here, but there's a couple champions that are worth noting here. For example, Mashal. Mashal brings increased speed and leech. Similar to Razovar, he's a good damage dealer as well. He can be. Visix, also very good for decreased speed and ally protection. You could sub Visix here for Tumisia for a decreased speed champion. I initially had her here, but I figured you might need a little bit more damage with the HP burn. She also hits pretty hard too if you have geared out. Molly is also a good provoke champion as well. It also brings turn meter boost and revive. The queen here is actually interesting because she has an A1 decreased defense and an ally attack, so she can be a helpful support to boost damage. But she doesn't bring much else. Ninja can be a good damage dealer as well, so but I left him off the bench. CV could be pretty good as well, but I mean, she's probably going to be used for like in a protection set if you have her. Otherwise, she's not going to be super useful. After that, I think that's about it. I mean, Rhonda can be good in the right team. I mean, you have Brogni here for some protection if you need it. Elva could be good in the right team as well. But I think that's about it. You don't have too much. Tila can be okay too. She brings Hex and Leech and HP Burn. I believe her Hex is on. I believe her Hex is on a 4-turn cooldown. Let me just double check. Yeah, her Leech and Hex is on a 4-turn cooldown, but she's not booked anyway, so you can't really use her out here. So I think these are the best teams for this roster. Yeah, if you guys have any comments, let me know in the comments below. But it's actually, obviously building teams from scratch takes a little bit longer than anticipated. But yeah, the main things you want to cover: increase speed, decrease speed. You need a way to survive, so it could be Leech, could be ally protection, could be Reviver. You need increased attack or increased defense for your damage dealers. You want decreased defense and weaken ideally. And if you want to boost your damage even more, bring an ally attacker or something along those lines. Make sure your team has Hex, which is really important. That's a big way to boost your damage. Having things like decreased attack really helps as well. It helps your team survive. And obviously, you need some kind of provoke, and you need some way to deal with the Head of Torment. So those are kind of the harder ones that you have to deal with in Hydra. But give these teams a try. Hopefully they work out for you. I think they should do pretty well. All right, so for Chimera here, you don't look too advanced in Chimera, but you did ask for some team options here. So personally, I think Elva fits into every team that you're gonna have. She's just a great generalist for this content. She brings increased speed, she brings continuous heals, brings a cleanse, block debuffs, and a speed aura, which is really good. So I think Elva fits into all these teams. Chris also is going to be really good here. Increased speed, decreased defense, some additional protection. So he's going to be really good here as well. Now there's a couple other options you can go for like DPS. You have Rathlos, which works well with your HP burners. Geomancer is a pretty good damage dealer. You could bring Ninja, which is when geared out can do tons and tons of damage. The other option that I saw was maybe like Whisper. Whisper can do pretty good damage for an epic as well. Mishinaki, also pretty good. He does bring HP burns as well. So you have some options there, but I think your supports are generally going to look something like this, right? Hatter's going to bring some additional damage to your damage dealer because he brings the weaken. He covers the weaken. So if you don't want to bring Lydia, you can bring Hatter, and Hatter covers the weaken part. He also brings extra damage to your damage dealer. But I think something like this should be able to get through some of the lower levels of Chimera. I think unless your ninja is super cranked out, you're not going to do too well in higher Chimera boss. But for the lower ones, a team similar to what I put together should do okay. For example, the team that you're running currently doesn't look too far off from what I was using myself. I would definitely recommend decrease speed is very important. So for example, CP can be replaced by Krisk in this team. And I don't recommend running Geomancer with Ninja because Ninja's HP burn can override Geomancer's HP burn, and you don't really want that. So you can run Ninja with Rathalos, which makes a lot of sense too. But yeah, a team similar to this could do okay. All right, so I saw that you were working on Amius normal difficulty. You said you were having some issues. So we're hopping in here. We'll check out your team here. So I can see why you're having issues against this guy, because you have no damage dealer to basically take him down. You have no heal reduction to shut down his healing. So this would be incredibly difficult to finish this fight with just this group. So I recommend bringing any kind of Brimstone champion if you have them available to you, or bring your highest damage or highest blessed champion with Brimstone. Like for example here, like Drexar 100% should be in this team. Like for example, Drexar 100% should be in this team. After that, just bring stuff that keeps your guys alive, that you can cleanse off stuff. Like Arbiter and Eldor don't necessarily need to be here. Artak can be okay for some extra damage, so that's not too bad. Personally, I would just bring in Podrick for some extra healing. And I just noticed this champion here, Clayna can be really good too. She actually brings decreased speed and leech. She doesn't look built out or anything like that, but I mean, as a champion to cover decreased speed, she can be pretty good. Not that she's necessary for this battle, but for Hydra, she can be very good. I think overall, we just try with the Arbiter here. I think a team like this might be okay. Let's do a quick run here. Let's see if it can actually work. So what you want to do is you want to time time your damage, right? See which attack he goes in with first. Does he go in with the heal or does he go with the buff swapping? So let's see. So you see here, Drexar is going to be most of your damage, right? Brimstone and HP burns. So what does he do? He does a stun first. So his next turn will be the buff swapping. So let's try that again. So we know that he's going to open with the stun, so we can open with the block debuffs. This is kind of how you figure out what to do here. So we can open with the block debuffs here. There we go. And yeah, we can ally attack in. All right, so now we're protected from the stun. Oh, sorry, he did the buff swap there. So that means his next attack will be the heal. And his next attack will be the heal ability. Let's see if this works. I mean, it should work. Drexar's super strong against this fight. So using him with the HP burn and a brimstone should be plenty of damage. So he does the heal here. Here we go. He does have the plus attack, which is a little bit annoying. So right now we're going to get 2 turns of him using his A1. HP burn. We need the attack down. That's really good. Ally attack in. Sure, why not? Okay. One of the masteries probably probably triggered, and then he sped up. So we need a cleanse back here. Podrick has a cleanse. Okay, there's the cleanse. Okay, we're back in business. Don't need that yet. Okay, so our 1 reviver's down. Okay, so we got to pick up Arbiter. He's got to pick up everybody. Okay, cleanse off. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that this team could do it. It's just going to take a little bit of time, trial and error, and stuff like that. But pretty confident that this team can definitely defeat Amius. He doesn't even need to change the gear, to be honest. Give it another minute or so. Podrick? I don't know. Does Podrick seem booked out? I need a turn meter boost. Okay, cleanse off. Ah, yeah, okay. Interesting. Stuff's happening, and yeah, I'm losing track on what's happening here. So, standard Amius stuff. Okay. Standard Amius stuff. Like, what's happening? All of our revives are used up. Okay. Weaken, HP burn. Times. You know what I don't like is when the color background doesn't change and you don't know what stage he's in. So when he does the stun, he's in the healing stage. So this is the stage where he gets the healing part, but it looks like his attack form. So this is his attack form, where he's supposed to deal more damage or something, but the cleanse. Yeah, I think this team works pretty good. 2 revivers, 2 cleansers. Seems pretty safe. I mean, eventually we'll be able to get through, right? I didn't check any of these champions' gears, so I have no idea if they even meet the gear requirements. But this team should be able to take them down. Just gonna take some time here. All right, let's just cap it off here. But I would definitely try this team. Let me make sure I set this team up for you. Yep, I would definitely try that out if you're struggling there. All right, so now you mentioned we are going to take a look at the tag team arena here. So you're working on the Ramontu missions. You're stuck in Silver 2 trying to get to Gold 1. Like this is a common problem or a pain point for a lot of people. Let's check out your defense here. This is what you were asking about. Let's have a quick look at what we're running here. So I think for Arena, I definitely saw a lack of like really strong damage dealers, I think. I'll take a quick look at his roster and see if I can put together 3 defenses that's going to help him push to Gold 1. I guess first things first is we have to identify his main damage dealers for Arena. So for me, it looks like it's going to be Wukong, Sun Wukong, we got Leorius, and Gizmat. I think those are going to be the 3. I mean, I don't think his account can support, more than, basically 1 or 2 good damage dealers, judging by the amount of gear he has. So for example, here, he's basically put like multiple damage dealers on each team. Like he has Gembo and Leorius, and then he has Vulcanin and Gizmat. Like you pretty much don't really need that. Let's see what we can do with this team here. All right, so just quickly going over some of these new defense teams I put here. So the first team here, very good combination with Wukong and UDK. They work pretty well together because Wukong's passive gets more and more valuable as he stays alive longer. UDK is generally a very good champion at staying alive for a long time. Make sure he is in a 6-piece stone skin build with very low speed. You have Python here with the backup revive and also cleanser, which is very important. And then you have Hellcath here, which can be very annoying for some people to deal with, especially in the lower ranks, because you can't, if you have the protective shield on the UDK, you're always going to hit into it, and then you're always going to trigger the Hellcath A1, which can be very devastating if the Hellcath is geared up for damage. So I recommend a team similar to this. It can be very frustrating for lower tier teams to deal with. After that, we do have a speed team here, a little bit on the tankier speed team. You do have a 360, 380 Arbiter, which is pretty quick for Silver 2, I would say. So I would be more confident running a speed team here as a defense. But what I like is basically 2 turn meter boosters into some DPS champions. Both your DPS champions have ways to survive, which is the way I put them up. I need unique reserve to have some damage though. And of course, Leorius needs to smack hard enough to kill off the enemy. So both of these damages can be okay. You could also sub out reserve for like Skull Crown, so you have double unkillable champions here. Something like this would make sense. Lastly, you kind of have a tanky team here with the Elva for the cleanse, revive, and then Chris with the shield, and then you have a very annoying unkillable buff with the Emic here, and then Gizmat for the big damage nukes. The other thing you could run is maybe something like this, where you run a really fast Podrick, and then you run the Skull Crown for the AoE. Something like this could work as well, just to catch some people off guard, but probably not, especially since it's a defense. So I'll probably just run it without the Podrick here, and then keep Leorius there just for backup. Yeah, so I think these teams look okay in terms of what we identified as our main damage dealers. I think those are probably correct. Wukong, Leorius, Gizmat. I don't think there's anybody else really for Arena that's going to make a huge impact better than those 3. So we'll stick with those ones, and then we'll just put the best supports around them to make the best teams. All right, so I think the last thing we're going to talk about for this account is the dungeon teams. So all the dungeon teams can be revamped here. I would start definitely with the Ice Golem dungeon. So let's say stage 5 or 6. If you can't do 10 like properly, doing 5 or 6 is totally fine. Personally, I like to set up Artac so that he can farm 4 food at the same time. So Artac's really good on stage 5. He can work on stage 6. But this is what, you can definitely get Artac to these stats. So I'm just doing your optimizer runs here. So here is your Artac. You need about 400 accuracy, 400 resistance, 300 accuracy. A little bit more would be better. But for stage 5, 220 speed with 85k HP, you can definitely do, you can definitely regear Artac to handle stage 5. So I'm going to leave that with you, but I would recommend using Artak for Ice Golem. He's just, you know, really, really strong for this level. Moving on. Spider needs a definite rework. Spider should be definitely a stage 10. It's probably one of the easier hard stage dungeons that you could do. For Spider, you're actually stuck on 9, so we got to work our way up to 10. I think something like this would definitely work. You got the HP burn, activators, and then you got slam, and then you have the hex as well. You do have to re-gear some of these champions so that they are speed tuned properly with the Spider here, and especially gearing towards stage 10. On stage 10, the Spider is 240. I believe Spider's 245 speed. Let me just double check. Yep, 245 speed on hard 10. So your champions basically need to be all over 245 speed for a team like this to work. So it requires a little bit of reworking, but you definitely have the champions, and it's definitely worthwhile to get the stage 10 just so you can get some easy silver if needed. Moving on to Dragon. So this is another dungeon that you can definitely work on here. This team's not going to fly, I think. All right, so for Dragon, I put together this team here for you. I want to make sure that you can use your Seer. You have lots of buffs here to use the Seer. To kill off the boss, you have Artak and Mithrala. Ideally, you change Mithrala here to Brimstone to speed this up. You also need regeneration sets or some kind of healing sets on Mithrala or Artak to make this work. I did suggest a regeneration set for Artak, so then you can do Ice Golem, at least the mid stages. But if you can get this to work, then it's going to be really good. If you don't have a reset champion, like you don't have Chimera or anything like that, then the wave 2, we're going to have to provoke them with the Krisk. He also brings some extra protection with the shields. But let's see how this one works. It's on full auto right now. I did set some presets to make this run a little bit more smoothly. I think we're going to have some trouble against the boss, but you never know. It might be okay. Okay, so the Seer was able to almost kill everybody. So that's kind of helpful. But yeah, the Seer is a little bit on the weak side, but that's okay. We don't have a reset champion or anything going into wave 2. We do land a decreased defense and weaken right away. HP burns coming out to help out. Provokes just to shut everybody down. Unfortunately, we do have to cycle back to the Seer armor burn, so we just have to wait for that. Everybody else is just not really doing too much damage. And there we go. All right, so we get to the boss, 42 seconds. And let's see if we can take down the boss here. Like I said, we don't have any, we're going to rely on shields here. We don't have any healing from regeneration sets or anything like that. So always a damage race against the dragon. So let's see what we can do here. Mithrala is going to do most of the damage along with Artak. And then the rest of the team is just kind of there, keeping everybody alive, hopefully. Seer can pitch in some damage as well, but she's going to take away the buffs, which is not necessarily a great thing. All right. See, Artak's already getting pretty low, right? Artak getting pretty low. Otherwise, if he was in a regeneration set, it would be in a good spot, but already very low. I think we're able to do it here. Yeah, we got the cleanse off. All right, got the HP burns, A1s. There we go. For sure, if Mithrala had Brimstone, it probably would be very close to over, but survives. Defense break. And the attack break, I mean, attack break is pretty good. Just softens up his attack against us. But it looks like we got it this time. So minute 48, full auto. I mean, it's not going to be as fast, unfortunately, as like some of the really fast teams because they don't have a reset. Also, the team is fully alive for most of the dragon encounter. Usually the team dies off, and then you have a faster like duel or solo against the dragon. But I think this is a pretty consistent team. We couldn't speed up his team speed here, but it's going to be something similar to this. I would definitely go, if you had regeneration sets on Mithrala and Artak, I would put less reliance on having Krisk in this team, because even if your squad dies, they can clean up, right? So instead of Krisk, I would put like a squishy control champion, like just to deal with wave 2, and then everybody dies against the dragon, and then after that it's just going to be a dual show, and it's going to be much easier, or at least much quicker. But that's my suggestion there for dragon. You're on Fire Knight, stuck on Fire Knight 2. Allure is not going to do anything against Fire Knight, and then Leorius is pretty useless as well. Trent is going to be pretty useless as well. So what you need against, I mean, Fire Knight, you're going to need somebody like Creodin, which you do have. So Creodin is here. You need somebody like Creodin, you need somebody like Neldor. You do have Neldor. So these guys bring freeze, right? They bring freeze that's gonna shut down the shields. Somebody like Coldheart or Stagnite can be pretty good. Stagnite brings the decreased speed, which is really necessary against this boss. This guy's already +1. So here's another thing that I wouldn't do for people watching is just empowering your epics for no reason. Like for example, this Stagnite is empowered but not being used. I would not do that. Just because you never know what content you might need 2 Stagnites in. But that's just the fringe case, but it already applied to like his Ugo and Chimera today. Also make sure your faction wars are filled, faction guardians are filled out. So you can see here his Sylvan Watchers is not filled out. Yeah, it's not filled out. And Sacred Order is not filled out. It's not filled out, but he has a +2 Chimera. So you guys kind of see what I mean, right? So anyways, but yeah, that's just these are epic, so they're not too hard to get. And yeah, for Fire Knight, I would probably run a team similar like this: double ally attack with the freeze champions and a decreased speed. It's not going to be a fast run. You know, subbing in like maybe like a multi-hit AoE champion just to deal with the waves might be helpful. Like for example, you could get rid of maybe Fat Man and then bring in some kind of AoE. I mean, maybe you can bring in Coldheart. Maybe you have a, you know, well enough geared Coldheart could work. Also multi-hits and max HP damage against the boss can speed it up, but yeah, it's going to be pretty tough without, you know, pretty good gear. But I would think something like this can probably get you up to stage 5 or 6. Afterwards, you're going to need some pretty good gear to go beyond that. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for the video. I spent a lot of time on this account just trying to make it work. There's a lot of options, obviously, with these more, you know, longer duration accounts. They acquire a lot of champions. There's a lot of options on what to do. Obviously, you have to consider where they're using it, what they're using it for. Do they have overlapping use and all that stuff? So it definitely takes a little bit extra time. So hopefully Pac Man can take some of the info that I gave here and, you know, run with that and, you know, improve his account. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Obviously, I'm just giving ideas and suggestions on what to do. The busy work of actually, you know, committing and changing the champion's gear and, you know, farming gear and all that, that's the time consuming stuff, right? So definitely a lot of work to do. So hopefully my advice has been able to speed up the process a little bit. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Pac Man's account. Let me know what you guys think would be really good advice for him if you guys got any. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the video. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate your time as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.